Hi, friends. Happy New Year. It is January 1st, 2024. This is Lavender Sky Panther with you for a little kickoff card reading for the new year. And mainly, I just want to come on to wish all of you oceans of happiness filled with tremendous love, peace, happiness, all things wondrous and miraculous. And may that fill you up completely and overflow out to all of those around you and fill everybody up and lift up the world. That's kind of the energy that I'm at today. I just do wish you from the heart, the very, very best, as always. So with that, let's kick off and get into our little card reading today. I am dividing up into 3 groups, but I typically say, look, pick 1, 2, or up to all 3 if you're feeling it. Sometimes I jump across the groups anyway and cross-reference. So, but if you're feeling in particular, like you'd want to go with one group, we've got the purple smoke ball on the left, the amber or gold one in the middle, and the forest green or kind of teal colored smoke ball on the right. If you're not familiar with them, back in the day, we used to call them smoke, and then I'm going to spell it so I don't trip anything funny on, the heavily censored platform that this is. But we used to call them smoke and then just add the word BOMBS at the end of that. That's what we call them. But anyway, or sometimes they were called cherry and then the word BOMBS at the end. But anyway, these ones actually don't explode. The cherry ones do. But anyway, you just light the fuse on these things and then it emits a smoke that's the color of the ball on the outside. So, they're just kind of fun to light up in the street and watch the smoke travel. And especially if you're in a heavily mosquito infested area like I tend to be sometimes, although luckily not right now. I'm very grateful for that. The smoke also helps keep those away. Anyway, we're going to get into this reading now. And let's just kind of use this as a nice little springboard to celebrate and bring in a hopefully beautiful right now and even more exquisite new year to come ahead of us. All right, so group 1, I'm going to kind of pan down. We're going to, just so you can see where we're going, and you can change your mind if you want. This is the full spread, and I'm going to go card by card. So here's group 1. And we have this, we've had this card before. I'm trying to focus here. Give me a moment. But we've got this kind of pink tinged or tipped lotus that's just hovering and floating over this, what looks like kind of more urban landscape, even those look like really exotic, intricate temples in the background. And we have like these pathways alongside. These are like enormous lotus. These are, white ones down below. And the message is number 7, embrace stillness. Again, quick reference for those who haven't heard me say this every single time. If you're tracking numbers and looking for the positive aspects or meanings of them, do go visit Australian blog site Joanne Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers, and then just type in whatever number you're interested in. And just, do an internet search on that. It'll pop right up. So I'm not going to go into it, just I do defer for you to go look over there for that meaning if you're looking for it. But in the meantime, I'm not so much seeing as the number 7 as other numbers coming up in this card. So first and foremost, we just noticed that something is happening here, is a little bit different than what's happening below. So down below, we've got these kind of almost predictable, pure white lotus flowers. And again, they're enormous in scale compared to everything else around. And they're kind of marching, not backward, but it looks like they're coming from out of the unknown and marching forward. Because even though this is hovering above, it's casting a shadow down on the foreground. And it looks like it has already shed some of its pink petals behind it. So I get the sense that even though this is depicting stillness, this pink lotus is unique and it is moving along toward us at a very, albeit slow pace. But it has shifted because, again, the petals would not have fallen behind it if it weren't, or at the rims of it. And that tells me that, these things happening beyond, they're kind of steadfast while this lotus is kind of slowly, almost imperceptibly still, but still moving a little bit, ever so slightly toward us. Now, for me, that means that the white lotus might be you or me, I'll just say we in this case. That might be representing us, and that we've already been practicing patience. I call it the P word sometimes because it's like in some cases it really feels like a four-letter word working as a disadvantage. But practicing patience, learning patience. How many of us are called to do that, whether we want to or not, willingly or not? So to me, it's almost like, I'm going to throw myself in this group too. When I read, I'll throw myself in every group. So it's almost like we have been patient. We have been on the path. The path is pretty straightforward. We haven't really been taking any major detours. So, we're doing the work as a quote unquote light worker. I don't like that name. I like light bringer. But that means all we have to do is sit here and be, because we are the light. We cannot be that, but be that. So we're sitting there, okay, almost twiddling our thumbs if these lotus flowers had thumbs, and we're waiting. We're being patient, and we're doing the work. And I don't even like to say waiting when we're patient. I like to say we're growing, right? We're growing, because just like looking at grass, if you try to watch grass grow, it seems like absolutely nothing is happening. Yet, if you went to a time lapse, you would see, oh yes, those blades are shooting up rather quickly, and they're also tracking with the sun movement from one side, of the horizon to the other, and lots of other things are happening in between. But in the meantime, even to the fact that the temperature of the blade of grass makes a difference, and there's different circulations happening in, and how that grass is, drawing up the water, and how dew sits on it, and what happens. There's just so much going on. But anyway, getting back to the point, that's a very slow process, whatever's going on in there. So it looks like we've been waiting. We've been doing kind of like all the right things, from the outside. Looks like we've been doing all the right things. We are practicing patience. We are sitting there. We're trying not to begrudgingly gripe or complain about it. But this could be taking quite a while, because already I see like 1, 2, 3 of us sitting here. Could be marking days, months, weeks. And in some cases, for some of us, me included, it's like decades where we seem like, come on, we woke up, we're floating up here. We've had some kind of great awakening, or that kind of pivotal moment where you crack open and realize the world is not what you thought it was. That can happen at any age, any decade that you are here on, Earth years, and your, calendar years of life, so-called calendar years, how we count them here. But anyway, you might have very well been sitting here. We might have been sitting here going on 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or, who knows, maybe it's 7 years, 14, 21, whatever. And you're like, oh my God, my dear good God, loving God, am I ever going to get out of this phase of stillness? And, then there's a little bit of hope. We can look up from this position down below and look up at this pink lotus and say, oh, pink tinged lotus, like, okay, there is hope. At one point, yes, we are going to rise up and be this floating thing that is just going to come toward us and float off this card and move us into the next card. Okay, so mastering patience, I think we're already there. In the moment we start to complain that nothing's happening, guess what? We're going to be saddled with even more reasons to be more patient. So as frustrating and infuriating as it can be, even though we come intermittently to moments of, okay, I'll just learn to be content, learn to do this and this. It feels like a sacrifice. It feels like, why do I have to give up? Kind of like feeling exuberant and enjoying life and just kind of sitting here along this path, being patient. But it's because there are some lessons learned in the growing, and it will bring us into, our next card, which, colors go beautifully with it. Greener pastures. And that may mean that we, this is adventuring, and it says create your own luck. That may mean that we've got to be prepared and ready to move into a new pasture where maybe we're willing to take some risks, maybe to put ourselves out there a little bit more. And that's kind of hard to do, because in this phase, I feel like it's phases, we're called to know what all of this means to be in this kind of energy. Then we're being asked to maybe take a baby step, maybe, take 1 foot off the page here and start to generate something to get our own luck going with, full backing of the divine. But it's a little more of a self-initiated effort. When I say take a step off, here's where I'm going to go ahead and jump to pile 2 already. Kind of like this elephant. It's just kind of taking that step off. It's been very acclimated, very comfortable, sitting over here in this green. And now it's time to still follow something lighthearted and contented and step off that page. I think even that butterfly is kind of like a greenish hue. And so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to float over onto this card, maybe take some baby steps out into the bigger world and start to create our own luck. Now that's going to call us to then further come down here to this gorgeous card, green epidote and star jasmine, restructure, identifying, reframing, and enhancing. And I'm going to read this because this is, asking us to kind of step into something that we might have to restructure ourselves a little bit further and enhance and grow a little bit further in different ways so that we can bring in some really good things. And I am going to step over and read from the book a moment on this one, so bear with me because I'm going to read off camera. Hang on. And I hope I can read in this lighting. Hang on one second without too much struggle or effort here. So give me a minute. Almost there. And I'll try not to jump around with the camera too much as we get there. And bear with me. Okay. So yes, we have restructure and identifying, reframing, enhancing. And those two symbols, just so you know, are water and air. Okay, and I'm just going to read excerpts. I'm not going to read the whole thing. And I'm just going to go where it lands. And it says epidote, and I like to say epidote for whatever reason. But epidote amplifies moods. If you are in a negative space, and let's face it, we are all humans, then it is best to, hang on, the card's in the way. Hold on, my placeholder's in the way. Then it is best to save working with epidote for another day. It is an energy that won't click with everyone, but like the Empress tree card, when it does, and you're in the right space to take that ride, what a ride it will be. All right, hold on. That is not what I wanted to read. All right, hang on with me here. Its medicine is varied. It wishes to increase your personal power, helping you to say no to unreasonable requests and anything that drains you. Its precise energy connects in through the heart, moving to your emotional body and clearing the way with elements of water. It allows space for a reset. Okay, epidote holds highly intelligent star energy. Sorry, I'm moving all over the place with the camera. It holds highly intelligent star energy with Sirians, star guardians, who wish to ground their wisdom of metals, crystals, and sacred sonics deep within the earth. It fosters a strong sense of trust in universal principles and wishes to help you ground down and anchor interstellar frequencies. This is getting interesting. Hang on. It activates ancient earth wisdom, codes in your heart, to assist work with your soul blueprints, earth and planetary grids, enriching protective fields in a calm, clear way, and detaching you from any collective fear in the grids so that you can receive a grounded, peaceful vibration through the healing it focuses on, clearing toxins from the body and land, producing heat where needed to burn up any densities in a concrete way. All right, forgive me, that's a function of this light, and I cannot read in this light source. But anyway, we're going to keep trying, though. Then here's a little bit about the star jasmine component. Epidote was insistent that it is paired with this ethereal beauty. It is a climbing vine that grows fast and strong to reach the sunlight. Its energy is light and angelic, wishing to bring you clarity beyond this physical form, lifting you up to the heavens to connect with the angels. Okay, there's more to it, but I think that you get the gist for now. So anyway, by sitting here in this stillness and just almost imperceptibly floating on, then taking that first step out of our comfort zone a little bit and kind of maybe taking some risks, creating our own luck, jumping off like a springboard to a new place in our life that's not as familiar as back there because we may have been waiting here so dang long. Okay, so it's just kind of a gradual movement forward so that we can get to this point and have some enhancement, have a little bit of support, a little bit of restructuring ourselves so that we can be able to grow and go further and maybe identify a little bit more with the stars, with more of the 5D part of things. And to the very point that, the star jasmine is a star. So this is just a very slow moving energy from the ground, lifting up, taking a step off further until we can reach the higher heights, so to speak. and drift and lift up even further to the 5D realm from having been grounded very much so for probably a very long time in the 3D. Okay? Now, once that slow moving energy finally moves here, then we also had an extra card pop out, and it's Bloodstone. And that message is get up, get moving. Okay, oops, you can't see it there. Get up and get moving. So even though it also now has that we get into a deeper green, we start off with a more light heart energy. Heart chakras are the pink and the green, and it's very light and rich and beautiful, like very pulsing and thriving. And then that still carries over into here, but now we get like a very deep, rich green. So it's kind of like a transcending color, like it's grounding down in, but it's also so deep that it allows us to kind of capture this kind of portal, or because this reminds me, this wood tree rings back here remind me of a portal almost, kind of getting us to move into that kind of 5D energy. And over here, it's the deep, deep green as well. But now we have flickers and flares of red. And again, so it's just kind of, it's really a beautiful transition color-wise, moving in with these greens, light green, middle green, dark greens, and then moving to this fiery red. That, okay, now it's time to get moving. But it's not a rush. This whole line has been so slow. It's just like get up and get moving, but not like get up and get moving with an exclamation point. It's like, okay, I'm set and reset, and now I'm going to get up and get moving, but with a calm, confident assuredness in that motion. Okay, well, that's a group 1. Thanks for joining in. Now let's go to group 2. Hi, group 2, here we go. Lead off card here is number 26, Keep the Faith. That can also be a number 8. I do cross-reference it already with group 1 if you're interested in heading over there if you haven't been there already. Now, also, like I'll probably say at each group, do go visit Joanne Sacred Scribes. It's an Australian blog site. It says angel numbers behind it. Type in either 26 or number 8 if you're interested in knowing the positive aspects of the numbers. Okay? So we Keep the Faith. This elephant is taking a bold and very assured step out into the unknown. It's very much like a leap of faith, except it's not a leap. It's just, hey, we're just going to plow through. We're ready. We're going to accept the unknown, the blank slate, the blank page in front of us. Then we have, I'm going to go through all of them first. Smoky Quartz, Let It Go. Now, what's interesting is in this form, it's very much a free form. So it's almost like whatever crystalline, has the crystal structure, if you look under a microscope, has a structure and a very orderly one. But in this case, it's like the overall structure just kind of let loose and wanted to kind of go and do its own thing and be free form, right? It's just letting go of that structure and, kind of twisting and turning and growing and morphing however it likes. Then we have this gorgeous card. We've got a little blue dragon, several colors of blue up here in the right-hand corner. It almost looks like a cathedral portal opening to a cathedral door beyond. We've got these beautiful vines and these beautiful white star-like flowers, and it says Sanctuary of Light and Mugwort, Portal, 5D, Healing Temple, Astral Travel. And again, this has a link to group 1, because I'm going to hop over to the card in group 1. Look at this. Now that's Star Jasmine, but we've got the stars and the climbing vines in both cards. Portal, this is leading to a portal with a magical kind of like cosmic light going on, rainbow light behind it. And here the portal is the tree rings, the edge of the bark. We have a section cut looking down as if somebody cut the tree and we're looking down at the rings. But it's also giving that same energy of kind of like a interdimensional portal, with a framed, rim around it. It's just really beautiful, the two parallels, right? Anyway, let's get back to this one. So I am going to kind of in reverse order, I think, read this group. Group 1, I read from top to bottom. This one, I think I'm going to read bottom to top. And in so doing, now that I've said that, I'm going to read it from the companion book, a little bit about this. Now, do bear with me. I do my disclaimer. The light source in this room is not conducive for me seeing well. There's something with the bulb that throws me off. I do need to do something about that. It's a message to myself. Give me a moment, though. Okay, I'm trying to find where I earmarked this. Hang on. In the meantime, look at this beautiful card. I did have it marked. One more moment. All right, well, this is the first. I cannot find it again, so we're going to let it go. And actually, while I was trying to find the correct page, you did get a bonus crystal card, and it is lapis lazuli. See, the light is not even allowing me to focus on this. There we go. Lapis lazuli, make a decision. Okay, so I just made a decision. We're going to abandon ship and forget about reading it from the book. There's a reason for everything. So back to this portal card. See, that was just a whole exercise in patience right there while you're waiting for me to find this in the book. And that was the overall theme of actually group 1 to major, that we've been sitting in a mode of major patience. All right, so in this one, we'll go back and read this one more time. 5D Healing Temple Astral Travel Portal. Okay, so we're going to skip all over the place. So you're taking, I'll put myself in the same shoes as this group. So we are keeping the faith. We are taking a leap of faith and blindly following the magical, right? And on this card, it looks like this elephant is coming out of like the 3D realm. You know, we have very tactile, tangible things, plants and leaves and flowers, herbs, and other things happening, and like the tree canopy. And then all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, you know, we're just stepping out blindly into something very unfamiliar. So the grounding, instead of happening between, you know, us and the land per se, is now becoming grounding in trusting the magical and trusting what we cannot see, but trusting that if we take this step, we may not see it, but something is going to come up and rise to meet us to give us that stability again. We're not just going to step off and this is the edge of the cliff. That is not the meaning of this card. And so like that, we just have to boldly go forward, trust in the magical, maybe, you know, go against the grain, if you will. You know, maybe all the other elephants are going that way, and we're the only one saying, hey, no, I'm not going to follow the herd or the pack. You know, I know I'm supposed to go this way. I'm supposed to head toward the light. I'm supposed to head where it's clear. And no, I'm not going to be ambushed and attacked by a pride of lions or whatever. I trust that I'm going to be led and even lifted out of any adverse situation if I trust my heart and just my knowing and walk steadily, you know, in the direction I know that somewhere deep down that is where I'm supposed to go. Even if everything else says, no, play it safe, you know, stay camouflaged in the jungle, you know, that way if this is an elephant in India, not Africa, you know, that way the tigers won't get you out there. You know, well, maybe you stand up and realize that you are stronger than a million tigers, because that heart that drives you is what connects in with the divine and clears the way and clears the path ahead of you if you are in that connection. So there's nothing to fear in taking the leap of faith and following was what what a lot of people just can't see or feel. You're gifted that ability to sense something and to follow it, regardless of how nonsensical it may seem, or no matter how a little bit of intimidating it might seem. You know, stepping off into the unknown can seem a little scary, but in this case, I think no. I think we've done that already. Maybe we've already, you know, done a leap of faith many times over and have seen the joys and the failures of when we've done it, seeming failures, but it's still leading us forward into another way. And maybe it's just time now to do it again, but know that we've done it before and we can do it again. And there is some kind of guidance, even if we can barely see it or sense it. There's something that will always be with us to help us make those right steps forward. Okay, so now we'll go back down. So the let it go is all part of that, right? To let go of the heaviness and the baggage of things of the past that might be tying us down. It might be a call to physically get rid of the junk, you know, get rid of the junk out of the trunk, playing on the elephant's trunk, you know, go to those old cobwebbed areas, you know, cardboard boxes, or, you know, just stacks of things piled up, and start to clear it out. You know, this elephant stepping forward doesn't need anything from the past. and wants that, craves that lightness, right? And that's something that I'm speaking from experience right now. I am in it. I need to do a ton of clearing and decluttering. And so when we can do that, we can also get physically lighter because we're not having that energetic stuff weighing us down. And that's all a part of letting go. And we also might need to let go of the familiar a bit. There might be things in our past where it's just now it's time to, we don't have to abruptly say goodbye and turn our back, but maybe it's just a time to ease out of certain situations. We do have our own mind. We have our own ability and our own will, free will, to make certain choices to change those things, right? And decide to head into a little bit of a fresh start here, especially for the new year, right? So we're going to move on. Smoky quartz, just I can't look at this card or this message of smoky quartz without thinking of the healing properties of it. So I invite you to look that up. Look up the spiritual and healing properties of smoky quartz. And you'll find that it does have some remarkable healing abilities. And you might want to play around with that for yourself or for others that you love if they're open to it, and get into some crystal healing. Okay, and now we're back at our beautiful card where I had a very long radio silence on the video. But again, there's always a reason for these things. And I just can't help but see that this dragon is not a foreboding, formidable, nothing, it's not a dragon you need to fight. This dragon's on your side. And it's as light as the butterfly, right? Up here too, which is kind of taking a similar position in the card. So this is definitely a call to embrace the magical and the wondrous. I don't know why this is coming to me now, but this happened to me a few years ago. If it might be just a call to really open your mind into some of these other realms of dragons, of unicorns, of fairies. I remember I saw a little child speaking to a bush pretty fervently, yeah, I guess that's the word, fervently, pretty animated and just really having conversation with a bush. And it was the real estate agent's daughter. This was years and years ago. And the real estate agent was a little embarrassed. I mean, the daughter was about maybe 8 years old. And she goes, yeah, she thinks she sees fairies. And then I just had to say it. I said, well, it just came out of me. I know she is seeing fairies and she is having conversation. And I don't know what the real estate agent, what she thought at the time, but I felt it so strongly. And I looked over at the little girl and she actually was seeing them. Now, I wasn't in a state, I'm still not, where I can actually see them. But I do know, without a doubt, they are real and they are there. And I even had a former show showing it, and based on work of others that's credited there, that fairies are real. And yes, they're, just because we don't have the visible spectrum here right now to see them doesn't mean they don't exist on a different frequency that our visual frequency can't pick up. So anyway, same thing with this little dragon here too. And it's a reminder there aren't, dragons aren't all evil. There are cosmic dragons, of the universe, at the beginning of the universe, who hold such wisdoms. And it's something to look at. In this case, come on, it's absolutely an adorable, friendly little, correct me if I'm wrong, but come on. It's a friendly little, it's almost like a butterfly dragon, if you will. Anyway, this card is asking to keep an open mind as we have like an open portal opening up. And that portal is inviting us to, seek out the 5D, know that healings are possible if we can get into that state. I usually have to close my eyes to have divine healings happen. And I usually just envision divine white magic healing hands coming in through the crown, the top of my head, and then moving into my body, and actual light hands, like ethereal, energetic, divine, like the most magical, beautiful healing hands you could ever imagine, with made of pristine crystal white light, like these little stars, these flowers. And they just kind of move the sludge or move whatever is ill or doesn't belong in the body, and just kind of vaporize and disintegrate them, just with a little swish to each side, and then it's gone. And then the body temple, because this reminds me of like the entrance to a church or a temple, the portal door, main door, is then, renewed and clean again. And that's all possible in the 5D. That's what it reminds me with this healing temple. Astral travel, it is said all of us do it. We may not remember it. A lot of people could do it easily as a child, before we had layers of muck and mud kind of slosh over our lives and kind of, kind of dim our beautiful spiritual sight. so to speak. The first moment a little child in my example might say, "Hey, Mom, I see fairies." And then the parent goes, "No, no, you're just seeing things, no, you're not, but of course the child is." So imagine what kind of life that child would have if brought up by a parent that is, just denying the existence of another dimension and all of the magic that holds, versus being brought up by a parent who, one who encourages that, versus a parent who's, denying it and saying that doesn't exist. No, it doesn't. And the parent that says, "Oh my gosh, that's fantastic, honey. What are you seeing? Describe it to me, please, because I can't see it, but I know you're seeing it." Now, if we brought children up in the latter, what a remarkably different world. And that is starting to happen, by the way. I think parents of my generation and younger are, knowing obviously instinctively to, of course, encourage the magical, the divine magic in that exists in this earth and far beyond it, and in many different dimensions. Okay, so to wrap this up, it's just all about following your heart, which is the divine, that God spark, that spark of life within, that is inviting us to just, take some little leaps of faith, or little steps, or short step into the unknown, but with full faith, knowing that there is a net, or there is something to step onto solid. You can afford to kind of have your head up, in the sky, be a little airheaded, if you will, and follow that path, right? And it is, the cliche and written, in novels before, that, you're taking the path that is less traveled by, perhaps, but more and more are starting to follow in your footsteps. Okay. All right, I think that's it for group 2. Again, sorry for the eternity long pause down here, but I guess it happened for a reason. All right, we're going to move on to group 3. Hi, group 3. And here we're going to start off with your card. I'm going to move over it slowly. We have this woman with a very disproportionately large crown made of presumably metal on her head, to the point where it's kind of crushing. It's causing her to bow forward a little bit. And it's almost like she just wants to cast that aside and opt for this beautiful crown of petals around the center of this flower, right? And she doesn't need this thing. And she is, in fact, is almost the crown of petals. Her dress looks almost like, actually, the texture and everything reminds me of ginkgo, but red somehow in this image. Or it's like poppy flower, right? And she's the center of it, just like this beautiful flower, right? So she is the flower, and the center of her is that golden expression. And like, it's almost like she in her totality is the crown. She doesn't need to wear one to show, or, who she is. And she's coexisting beautifully with nature. And she's just kind of melding into this, this beautiful world, and leaving kind of the world of men, or the 3D, behind in the dark, right? Now, the number is 33. That can also be a number 6. It says, "Decide for yourself." I invite you to look at Australian blog site, Joanne Sacred Scribe's Angel Numbers, for the positive meanings behind 33 and number 6, because there's always the positive side. So for those of you in touch with what some of these secret societies and kind of evil-leaning ones are doing on this planet, don't let 33 jade you, or number 6. There are positive sides of that too, and just step up and claim those beautiful messages is my advice. So decide for yourself. I was guided to put this little sphere here, of this gem that I had taken from a collection of these little spheres, gemstones, crystals, around this candle. This one jumped out to put here and kind of anchor this card. So it's a reminder that when you decide for yourself, it doesn't necessarily have to be all black and white. Sometimes things can be gray in what we're deciding. But in this case, it might just be a little call, since we have like the black in the background and like the white with the hair, or the rabbit and the flowers. Maybe she is kind of meaning us, if I'm going to put myself in this pile too. Maybe we are betwixt a decision, to make, and it's really tough. It's kind of like there's a hard black and not a soft black. It's a hard black, or, a pure white. But even though we're in between, maybe though one would say, well, look, it is either black or white. Why are you having such a hard time deciding? Well, there's a lot going on in that decision making. It's weighing the head down, right? So she's already instinctively doing something that's a great tip for all of us. Get out of the head and the mind and get into the heart. So somehow, I don't know how she did it, but she bent down even with this huge dress on, was able to pick up a flower, presumably, right? Or maybe somebody else gave it to her. Maybe it magically floated to her. I don't know. The point is that flower is over her heart space and is shining almost like a spark. It's really beautiful. It's white and pure. So if she can get out of her mind and get into the heart, then the decision almost makes itself known, and it's almost like it's decided for itself. Things flow and become very easy, and she can lighten her load and just like cast that heavy crown aside and just tap into her heart space to help her, allow her to make the right decision. It's also a matter of inviting everybody to get out of the room, like whoever gave this crown or imposed that crown upon her, presuming it wasn't self-imposed. Maybe other people had expectations for her to wear this crown. She needs to get any outside advisors, any family members saying something in her head, even if she trusts them or, appreciates their advice. This is an inside job. It says decide for yourself. So I like the little technique of imagining everyone getting out of the room of my head, so to speak. Get the voice of your parents from when you were little out of your head, or your grandparents, or maybe you were raised kind of alone. Let some of those old patterns and thoughts get out of your head. Just clear it all and get to the purity like this white flower, and then drop down, get out of the mind, and just try to feel it out. Feel out what you're contemplating in the heart space, and things will get easier. They'll get simpler. You'll get a little bit of assistance too if you step out in nature to make the decision. Literally make sure you're not in some kind of box or cubicle or house, rigid construct. Get out in the open air, even if it's a starry sky. And when you're making those decisions, breathe in air, exhale that air, keep that flow going as you're trying to do the decision making. Okay, now we're going to move on. So that's that energy of the leadoff card for your group. Then we come to, yet again, kind of a dark stone, but it doesn't seem foreboding. We've got a lot of white around it. It's almost, balancing it out. And it's shungite, and it says detox your life. Now, shungite works for a lot of people I know to ground or to kind of harmonize energies. For me, it just doesn't do it for me. I almost get kind of like a repelling function to it. For whatever reason. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not harmonizing with me personally right now. But maybe it's really great for you. Maybe you want to give it a try. Have some, I think it's good to have around computers and things that generate kind of radiation or electromagnetics. It can help, I think, balance that out or absorb some of that more negative leaning energy. That's why we say detox, because it's supposedly great to do that. Or just set it by a computer if you're working on it, or a phone. Anything that might disrupt your normal, natural harmonic field or aura, and that might do the trick. So as we're making some of these decisions, it's a good reminder to step away from electronics, TVs, phones, whatever. Maybe you have no problem with that and don't have that in your life. Great. Then you already probably don't need this group and might want to pick another one, but something might still come up that serves you in this reading yet. But anyway, get out in nature. Use nature to help, get away any negative energies that might adversely impact any of your decision making, even if it's in dream time, right? And then we're going to move down to, we move from this pretty one-sided black and white with a little splash of color world to all color, all like unicorn, sunshine, and rainbows. And we have Pearl and Larimar. Message is let go, surrender, release, patterns, and triggers. Pleiades. Okay, so they're referring to the constellation Pleiades, the seven sisters, and the peoples that come from there. And we're supposedly some of the earliest star beings that came and gave teachings to, some of the earliest Native American or indigenous cultures in North America and also around the world. Okay, so here we have a beautiful scene. I'll zoom in a little bit. Look at pink sky, puffy white clouds, dolphins jumping, beautiful spectrum rainbow coming to this pearl, and, presumably an open clam. I mean, could things get any better with this card? I don't think so. So what a happy, happy card. So, if you do the simple action of getting out of the head and moving into your heart space, if you closed your eyes and held this white flower right over that heart space, you probably would just see this image or something close to it, right? So I'm going to read a little bit from the book on this one. On group 2, we had a bit of a snafu. I lost the place marker, and then I couldn't get to the page again quick enough. But on yours, I believe we can. So give me one moment. And I'm not going to read the entire thing. Oh, and no sooner did I say that I lost the place on this one too. Okay, here we go. I'm going to grab it while I got it. I don't want to repeat what happened on group 2. All right, so once again, Pearl and Larimar, let go. And that is the symbol for water. Hang on. And I'm not going to read the Pearl part. I'm going to skip straight ahead and just read some excerpts from the Larimar part if I can. My little disclaimer is I'm in a room where the lighting is not so conducive for my vision. It's kind of disruptive. I've got to change the light source in here. So give me 1 minute of where I'm recording. And let me see if I can give you that. You know what? We're going to do this together. We're going to zoom in on the book so I can read it better. If it will focus. Okay, here we go. All right, let's do this. Larimar brings the connection to Lemurian and Atlantis, ancient civilizations spanning thousands of years, through its connection with the wisdom of water, the seas, and, give me a moment, and dolphins. It is also deeply connected to the planet Neptune and the Pleiades, and could be stepping forward now to help you connect with your gifts from Atlantis, a place where we work deeply with the crystals in the land and within temples of light as recording and channeling tools. Okay, so I know I just jumped to a message that really brought us straight out up into the heavens, into the constellation Pleiades. So, this is a very grounded energy. And then, we detox and get lighter. And then we move into, if we just keep up with that heart space, that pearl and that rainbow coming to it. I mean, I often talk about our heart space just being this massive spark of light, pure light. But this also could be it, like the center of that clamshell opened, that beautiful divine pearl. They call it, mother of pearl referenced wisdoms, and just heart space, love, energy is what this card is all about. So it's a matter of, coming out of the darkness, not just doing what we think we should do, but just trusting that heart space, and then detoxifying ourselves so that we can stop being so grounded onto this 3D and allow ourselves to lift up and play and dance in the magical for a while. And again, the message of surrendering, releasing patterns and triggers. It's just like her in the first card. She's kind of releasing a little bit slowly, but eventually she'll take that crown off. She's releasing and turning her back to the past and, focusing on what's in the right now and ahead of her a bit, right? And by doing that and detoxing, it allows us to get into this state and focusing on that white flower she's holding, then transcends everything and becomes this glorious, otherworldly pearl. And other pearls of wisdom then can come to her when she can start to surrender and let go of that heaviness and let go of all the other people in her head telling her, do this, do that. If you do this, this always happens. No, she's just saying, I'm forgetting all of that. I am simply going to focus on this in the here and now. I'm going to let go and surrender. And I am going to enter and step into this world of the magical and let it all go. Okay, well, that's it for today, everyone. I wish you gorgeous first week up for the first fresh week of the new year. Again, happy 2024. And until next time, Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.